Hey everyone, Leanne Pilkington here for the latest Courageous Conversations, and I'm very excited to welcome Molly Benjamin from Ladies Finance Club. Hey Molly, how are you?
Hi, thanks so much for having me on today.
Hey,
Excited to be here.
Yeah, that's my pleasure. I'm so excited to hear more about what you do. So Ladies Finance Club, tell me a little bit about what that is.
Yeah, so we are a club where women can join. We help empower women take control of their financial futures and to get money savvy, because when you're starting out, it can get really overwhelming. So we have a membership, we do events, courses, all about helping educate women and take control of their money, because it can be a tricky one otherwise.
Yeah, that's for sure. And certainly in real estate, there's a lot of us that earn quite good money. But earning good money doesn't mean that you've got a good bank balance, right?
No, and earning good money doesn't mean that you're not in debt either. So yeah, it's really about what you save, not what you own, not what you save, not what you spend. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me about how this all came about. How did you start the club?
Yeah, so I was working for a global bank in the UK in London, and I was in the supermarket one day and I was just like, oh my God, I am here, I'm earning good money, I have a good job, yet I am almost broke and I'm having to borrow money to buy groceries from a friend. What the hell is going wrong here?
Yeah.
And like, to give context, like 2 weeks earlier, I was in like Latvia partying it up. So it was definitely user error.
You were.
So it was like a cash flow error on my behalf, but I had no control of my finances. I spoke to my girlfriends. We had no emergency savings. If something was to happen, we literally didn't have a backup plan. And I thought, how scary is this? So I spoke to more and more women in my life, the women I was working with, other friends, and it seemed to be a trend. Well, it seemed to be a common thread, a common trend that when it came to our finances, we were keeping our heads in the sand and we weren't really dealing with it. We were kind of handing it over to partners to look after. And I just thought, this will not do. And, as I researched more, I found the stats with money and women are pretty grim. Really? We're retiring on half the super of men. We live longer, we earn less. We make up 18% of online investors on the internet, which in Australia, which is kind of this tiny, tiny percentage. But when we do invest, but when we do invest, we make really good investors, and we can outperform men in many of the studies they've done. So I thought, what can we do? Well, a lot of the information out there is what I call male stale and pale and pretty blue. It was just
I've used that line myself a couple of times. Yes, indeed.
It was just like jargony. I didn't want to engage with it. I didn't want to read it. And I was like, this is really important information. We use
Does your brain shut down when you look at stuff like that? And it's just like nothing goes in? Yeah, mine does too.
And I'm not a spreadsheet warrior. Some people love spreadsheets and I'm just like, I cannot do them.
Sure.
And whenever I do attempt to do it, it never works out.
Doesn't work well.
Yeah. I'm like, lost me on the formulas. So I literally started running an event in my living room and invited my girlfriends along.
And so who did you get to? Because obviously you can't have been the speaker at that event because you weren't very good at it, right?
I was definitely not the speaker. No, I coordinate. I don't speak. I ask the questions. So we had a friend who worked in finance, and at the time we were like, okay, teach us about ISAs, which are individual savings accounts in the UK, and they have a great tax kind of tax system if you've got an ISA. So they came in and spoke to us and we asked all these questions, and he was like, these questions are pretty basic. And I'm like, hey, no judgment, please.
No judgment, exactly.
We don't know about this. This is why you're here.
Yeah.
And, I did want to create a safe space where women could come and we could ask the questions without, feeling stupid or blonde or that we should know this. Yeah. And because a lot of the women we were getting along, worked in finance, there was almost this embarrassment that I should know about this because I work in this industry.
Totally.
But it was not like that at all. So then I put on my first main event in London. We had 80 women come. A huge amount of them worked in finance, and so that's where it started.
So how do you put on an event with 80 people when you've got to borrow money for food?
Well, I ended up having I got a speaker for free who is actually now my business partner in the UK. And she's an incredible financial advisor, very successful, written books. Absolutely love her, Lisa. And we got a venue. We sold the tickets. The tickets covered the food cost. At that stage, I wasn't so focused on making the money. I was just like, I want to get this information out there, and I want to, as long as I can cover my costs and make maybe a tiny bit on top for the next event, that's great. So we got a female co-working space on board. They hosted us. I literally went down and bought the food myself and bought Prosecco, got my girlfriends to help out.
Yeah.
And it was just this incredible vibe. And I just couldn't believe how many, because I'm so used to seeing so many, you know, men in a room, being in the financial industry in the UK, just to see the power of so many women asking questions and being so open. It was incredible. And I was like, right, this was my test. I know women want this. They were loving it. The feedback was so positive. And that's kind of where it really started. And then it kind of snowballed. We run corporate workshops. We have a club, regular courses, events, all that kind of thing. And it's just trying to make it as fun as possible. So we did budgeting it doesn't have to be a drag. And we had a drag queen teach us about budgeting with an expert, and girls just
stop it. That's hilarious.
Yeah. And our investing event is called Girls Just Want to Have Funds.
Yeah.
And, you know, and there's always Prosecco or champagne. Like, that's a must at every event.
You are my kind of girl.
I'm like, if we're going to learn about this, let's make it as fun as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. So when was that first event back in the UK?
That would have been, I think, February 2018 it was.
Okay.
So,
and you've been in Australia since 2019?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I just wanted to come back home. My sister had gone through Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Oh, wow.
The previous year. And I just really missed being in Australia, being close to her. She's actually written a book about it, and it's coming out in August, which is going to be awesome.
That's super exciting. Well, do let us know when that comes out, and I'll put a link for everybody.
Yeah, it's called Life is Tough, but so are you. And
perfect.
And I'm one of 3 girls. My sisters are all in Australia, and it was time to come home. And then luckily, because
how good was your timing?
COVID, like the next year. So it was really, really good timing.
Yeah. And so you hadn't done any events or anything in Australia, like membership drives and stuff in Australia before that?
No, it was brand new. So August 2019 was our first event. Well, I think we had about 110 in Sydney, and then we started doing them across Australia. And I think our last one was Canberra before COVID kind of shut everything down. So we're looking forward to doing some more at the end of the year.
Yes, we with my group, we've just started the events again. We had one in Adelaide this week, last week. Yeah, this week, and we've got a few happening now. But it's been challenging, right? You've got to reinvent.
You absolutely do. Yeah, we turned our digital transformation happened very quickly overnight.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so, what's next for Ladies Finance Club?
So what's next is, we've got the membership, we're growing that. We are, just trying to engage with as many women who want to take control of their finances as possible. We're working towards a big event at the end of the year, which will be a 2-day wealth summit, which we're incredibly excited about, where you can come along, you know nothing about finance, and you can leave feeling confident about, how to buy your first ETFs, how to buy your first shares, and then focusing on property on the second day, which we're excited to grow on and build on. And for me, I started this because I didn't know anything about it. So we're getting the best experts in the country to come and talk to us about a whole range of topics. And I just love watching kick-ass women do their thing on stage and inspire a whole group of women. It's really...
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun to watch, right?
A lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that is super exciting. So it would be remiss of me not to ask you for some finance tips while I've got you.
Yeah. Okay, sure thing. So first one, I think we were talking about it offline just before. Save more than you spend. So don't spend all that you earn. It's such a simple one, but it's something we see all the time. Women are in debt. They're using credit cards as a way to manage their spending, but they're struggling with debt. So it's really about making sure that you get rid of any high interest debt as fast as possible. Buy now, pay later, Afterpay, Zip Pay, all the pays, and really working out what are your short, medium, and long-term goals, kind of like what do you want to achieve in the next 3 years? What about the next 5 years, 5 years plus? And writing those down, there's such power in writing those goals down. Whenever we speak to women, they say, oh, I'm really bad at saving. I'm like, cool, what are you saving for? What's your goal? I don't have one. That's why
that's your problem.
That's your problem. It's a simple solution. The other big tip we always say is have that emergency fund of 3 to 6 months worth of expenses sitting in cash where you can't touch it easily. We call it an OMG account at Ladies Finance Club. Like, oh my God, the tire, I need a new tire. Not, oh my God, I need that jacket now. Or, oh my God, I forgot my anniversary. I need to get a present. We're like, not what the OMG account is for, but working towards $1,000 and then 3 to 6 months worth of your expenses. So what's your monthly expenses is the first step in creating financial freedom and having that calm feeling. So when you think about your finances, it's not overwhelming or stressful.
Anxiety. Yeah. I've always said you've got to pay yourself first. So that's my, there's a, whatever the percentage is that works for you, just as before you pay any of your bills, put that into another account. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I think that is such an important one. We don't think about, we save what's left after spending. We don't do the opposite. And so often there's nothing left.
No. And because if there is anything left, you do go, oh, I did like that jacket. Or
you're not going to go, I'm going to put that into savings.
No.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to pay yourself first. And I remember meeting an air hostess in the UK, and I said, oh, how are you with your finances? She was at an event. She said, I'm really good. And I said, oh, awesome. I love hearing that. It's so unoften I hear that as well. She's like, yep, I save 50% of my income. And I was like, that's incredible. And then I'd spoken to an executive at a big accounting firm. And I said, oh, and how are you with your finances? Oh, not great, to be honest. I'm in a bit of debt. So it just went to show that it doesn't matter how much you earn. The air hostess was on paper way wealthier than the person earning like triple her salary. So
it's so true. I've got lots of stories where there's one particular young guy that I know, and he bought his first property at the age of 21, and he was not earning a lot of money. He was just a sales associate, but he was focused on it. That was his goal. He was very disciplined, and then he bought his second property, and and they're high. It's expensive to buy property in Sydney, right? So you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it. Yeah, and that's also why I love the 50-30-20 rule. 50% into your living expenses, 30% into your fund money, and 20% into growing your wealth and investing into your future. Because I think sometimes we can really budget the fun out of life, and then that's not fun, and you're not going to stick to that. So I think it's
and 30% of fund money, that's pretty good. That's quite a lot, right?
I mean, it's a rule of thumb. You can change those percentages. You might want to be saving for a holiday in there or something else. But it's like you don't have to have everything coming out of the one account and trying to do all things. It's just going to get messy.
Yeah, I'm all for 30% of fund money. Absolutely no problem with that at all.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Afterpay and all of those sorts of things. Back in the day, we were only talking about this morning. I used to love lay-by when I was younger, but you don't get it until you pay it, right? Yeah. And that's the difference. You've got that delayed gratification.
Yeah, and I was looking at a bus. A bus went past me the other day when it was an Afterpay ad, and it was like, you deserve this, like treat yourself now kind of thing. And I was like, no, you don't. It's not your money. You haven't earned that money. You don't treat yourself. I was like, this is not great messaging.
It's the wrong messaging.
It is the wrong messaging. Yeah. So I think, for people just to be very aware of that. And there's only one person winning in these businesses. Yeah,
that's for sure. I'll never forget, years ago, I was at a boutique that I liked to frequent, and one of the sales assistants said to me, I just can't buy property. It's too expensive. I'm just never going to be able to. And I said, oh, I love your shoes. She said, yeah, they're the latest Gucci, aren't they fabulous? I'm like, you know what? I've got property and investments, and I earn a lot more money than you do, and I do not own one single pair of Gucci shoes.
Yeah.
It's about priorities.
Yeah, and I think it's that mindset as well, like the fact that she said, I can never afford property.
Yeah,
Like
it's true.
they've already turned themselves off to the idea of ever owning property. It's not,
Yeah.
how can I afford it? It's no, I could never afford it. And I think,
It's really important, actually. You're so right.
And the mindset is just fascinating. And a lot of our mindset is made up by the time we're 8 years old. And it's very reflective of how our parents behaved or didn't behave or talked or didn't talk about money. So, you know, even just being aware of that, going, okay, just like, what were the money messages I got when I was little? Oh, we were poor, or we never had enough, or there was heaps of money, or I never had to worry about money. And then reflect on your own current situation. And you can definitely see the links. And I think when you can overcome that, that's really going to help you take your money journey to the next level as well.
You're absolutely right. And so is mindset something that you talk about, or that you've got courses for?
Well, we run sessions on mindset. We work with a whole range of different experts. We like to create a platform for other, you know, amazing female financial experts to come and to share their messages. So we just ran an event recently on giving your mindset a makeover. And that was really interesting to learn about just the language we use when we talk to ourselves about money, and how you can reframe those, and mantras, and the power of manifesting and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just about money, the power of the language, the voice that you know, the stories you tell yourself. I just find at the moment I'm going through some stuff that I get really anxious about, some things that I need to do in the business, and I keep telling myself how bad I am at that part of the business. And the reality is I'm actually not. But if I just have to actually stop talking to myself about it and pick up a pen and do something about it.
Well, that's the thing. I say, you know, you can absolutely do this. Like with money, people, like with investing especially, like it's so tricky and complicated and hard, and it's, you know, I'm not the Wolf of Wall Street, who am I to be investing? And it's like, well, actually come to a course, come to an event, break it down. We also run free events, because we're so passionate about educating women on how simple it is to invest. And if you can come to that and then tell me you can't do that, because if you can do grade 3 math, you can invest. Like, you do not need to be a mathematician or anything like that to be able to invest. So
I think it's really clear to everybody how passionate you are about what you're doing, which is it's just beautiful to see. I love the enthusiasm. So how do people find that passion and that enthusiasm when they are, you know, maybe in debt and struggling to get through from week to week? How do you think you can tap into that?
I think, again, it comes back to having really clear goals, and really it gets exciting, I think, when you're writing out those goals and going, okay, this is what I want with my life. This is what financial freedom looks like to me. It looks different to everyone. You know, it might be being able to order an oat coffee every single day, or going for a massage once a week. It might be picking up your kids from school. It might be taking a year off. Like, what your ideal life is going to be different from everyone else's, but you've got to work out what that is. And I think, you know, when you've got that, and then you can break that down into the different goals, and then start working towards each of those goals, that's when it gets exciting, and that's going to keep you motivated. And if it's not, then maybe they're not your goals, maybe they're someone else's. Maybe you need to keep searching for, you know, what it is that you're passionate about. Why do you want that money? What can you achieve? You know, I think another messages we tell ourselves is money is bad, money is evil, but you can do such good with money. So, you know, really getting a good understanding of what it is that you want to achieve with your life, and then how can money help fund that.
And I think what you say about everybody's goals being different, and you've got to really tune into what's important for you, because particularly in the real estate business, we glorify income and the amount of money that you're actually making. And I think that women's definition of success is very different to men's definition of success. And so we need to be okay with that. Success, you know, success for me is not about money. It's about being able to make choices for my life. And so you've got to work out, right, what is important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, you know, with oh God, the stat that just gives me goosebumps every time is one of the highest growing demographics of homelessness in Australia is single women over the age of 55. And I'm like, they have such lack of control over their future. And, you know, that's another big reason for me is wanting to start Ladies Finance Club, because control over your own life is so related to that.
You're so right. And there's a lot of, I've just been made aware of a really sad story with a guy who had mortgaged and remortgaged the house without his wife knowing.
Yeah.
And now they're in a situation where the house is being sold. His self-esteem is nowhere to be seen. It's a really sad story, but it goes to show that no matter how much you trust the person in your life, you can't abdicate responsibility for the finances, right?
Yeah, you've got to be, you're the only one, it is exactly right. You're the only one who is in charge of your own finances. And, that is not a story. That's not an uncommon story. We hear that all the time where the partner, they find out there's a gambling debt. They have no money. There's fraud. They've got into their super fund. They've spent everything. So this is definitely not something which is not uncommon. And that's one of our LFC rules. We're like, you're the only one responsible for your own money.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really important message. Even if you are not the one that pays all of the bills, make sure that you can, you've got access to those accounts and you know what's going on, right?
And just to even have like Barefoot talks about it, and a lot of our experts talking about having a date night with your partner, where, once a month you sit down and you talk about the finances, you look at your net worth, you look at what your combined goals are, and, you have that honest conversation with where you're at and what you're trying to achieve together.
Why do you think people are uncomfortable about having those conversations?
Because they're awkward, I think. And especially when one is earning more, and for women as well, when, they're staying at home looking after the children, the partner is going off to work, it can very much be seen as their money and your money, and it's my money, so I don't want to discuss with you. And I think women are very good at seeing their money as the family money, and men are very good at seeing, in some instances, caveat, not all.
Of course,
and I do think it's sometimes it is easier just to not have to think about that. Like, I have conversations all the time with people like, oh, I just get money and I just spend it. I don't know how much we have or where it's going or what it's earning. But reality is 50% of marriages are ending in divorce. So whether you're in the best relationship of your life or not, you have to, for your own, for your own financial well-being, be across it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a big thing we're trying to get across.
It's another really important message, because they are there. They can be confronting conversations. They can be uncomfortable conversations. But my tip would be, if your partner gets really defensive or tries to shut down those conversations, that is one major red flag, right?
Yeah, and we have 21 questions to ask your partner about
money. I like it.
People can download for free from our website as well under our free resources section. And it's just like, how you can start those conversations.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and we always say pick a really nice neutral space. If they own the house, take it out of the house, take it to a nice cafe, make it very make it very informal, low key, because it can get very awkward and people immediately think you're going to break up with them, or, there's so many emotions involved with money, especially for women. It's, money is an emotional topic. So, it's definitely a conversation that needs to be had though. And I think,
I definitely agree. And so that is a courageous conversation all on its own. One.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I've really enjoyed it, and I am going to be checking out your website. For everybody who's watching, what's the website?
It's www.ladiesfinanceclub.com, or we're on Instagram at Ladies Finance Club.
Beautiful. I will be checking it out. I will look forward to hearing more about the Wealth Summit in October and your sister's book.
Yes.
And I will share that with all of my my listeners when they're available.
That would be fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.